before I went to EMBL, I did my first postdoc at the Max Planck Institute of Immunobiology and Epigenetics in Freiburg. And I was working as an immunologist and understanding the evolution and the development of the T lymphocytes in the thymus. And at that time, the thymus was like a black box. So it is very dynamic. Everybody knew that this is a lot of cell migration interaction, but nobody could see it in life. And my vision at that time was I would like really to see what's going on. And we know that it was not possible to do it in mice because the thymus is very deep and it's very difficult for intravital imaging. And since I was 2 times in EMBL and I was working with the imaging technology, I know the only place that I can really realize my dream, this is my vision, it's EMBL. And the right model organism is as a medaka fish. And there was a coincidence at that time, Maria Leptin was also looking for an immunologist with experience with fish to work on the innate immune response. And so we came together and discussed, and we agreed that I can work in parallel to the iPod project and my own project, and to use the facilities and the imaging and then really make it. And it was really a successful time because the first time we could really visualize in the entire organ how cells are migrating, how cells are interacting. And that was possible only to work at EMBL.
And you raised the issue around the technology for imaging and microscopy. That's obviously become a big part of your passion and career. Was that an area where EMBL opened up new opportunities for you?
Yes, definitely. I think it's for any working, so for the scientist it's important. If you want to work to a place, you need the 3 key elements. The first is really have access to the technologies that you need for your agriculture. You need, first of all, a question, so and then freedom to think about what you want to do. But access to technology is the second key element. And the third one is to work in an environment that you have people are willing for collaboration. You know, this is very important, and support you intellectually as well as technically. And that was the place that at the EMBL, and that's why I said I would like to come here, because this is exactly the place that I can pursue my project, and it worked very well. But something else that actually I got a really good experience was having access to the technologies available at EMBL for someone that is not affiliated directly with EMBL. So when I left EMBL and established my own laboratory at the University Hospital in Tübingen, which is not so far, it's 200 kilometers from Heidelberg. So I wanted to continue with my project, and of course the T-cell development at thymus. And at the beginning, they was kind of discussing that I would get access to the imaging technologies that are available in the city and at other universities. In the reality, I could not get access. And I could not continue with my work. And I had really this idea, and it even was funded by the DFG, the German foundation. And then Maria and others at the IMLF at the EMBL, they opened the door. So basically they said, you can come back and use the technology, get access to pursue your experiments. And I took my car, drove in the morning before the rush hour in the Karlsruhe place from Tübingen to Heidelberg to do my experiments at the EMBL. And then in the night I came back. And that was the only way that I could really help my students to continue the project and basically to complete this. And this access to the technologies and make it open to every researchers, I think this is extremely important. And then later on I heard about the initiative of the Euro BioImaging, or this European research infrastructure consortium that makes open the access to all researchers, regardless of their affiliation. That's something that I said I really would like to be part of it and try to support any researchers that any good idea should not suffer from that you are not able to do it because the technology that you need for answering your question, it's not available at your host institute. There is possibility that you can get access and use it, and this is something that I really afterwards learned it a lot.
Looking towards the future, the present and the future in your own field, in the area of imaging, what do you see as the most exciting future developments or the things you would like to achieve?
Well, I really, what I would like to achieve, in my understanding, it goes in the right direction. So I think it's now S3 and European Commission is trying to really push in this direction, that to support the research infrastructures and the importance is now acknowledged, and this is important to open access to being one of the pillars of the open science policy in Europe. And in many cases, Europe is actually the driving force at the global level. And I think many countries are actually they're looking what we are in the Europe are doing and are trying to basically replicate it or making it something which would be feasible for them, but in the same direction. And I think now it's important to have support researchers at any level, at any application, with programs that they can get access to the technologies that they need for their job. Because nowadays it's not possible that you do a high level research in the laboratory with equipment in the lab. So you need high-tech technologies if you want to work really at a high level and to achieve. And I think this is very important and really would like to have more in this direction. But I see, and it looks very promising from the EC that goes in this direction.
So perhaps now, as we come to the end of the interview, if I could ask you, what does EMBL mean to you?
EMBL for me personally was, I can say what EMBL for me is a working place where you can use these three key elements of access to the technology, being intellectually open-minded, and then you can think about your ideas, and this close collaboration that you can achieve whatever you want. This is what I mean. What is for me. But an EMBL, it's like for me was like a small boy being in a Lego store, and then you can have access to all of these brickets, and you can play around and be creative as much you can want. And this was fantastic experience at that time, and I'm really happy that I did it. So.